What up, folks? Invisible Walls, episode 112. It is Tuesday night after all the press conferences are over. It is, almost 11 o'clock p.m. Pacific at this point.
Time no longer matters. There's only E3.
It's really all relative. Skittles.
It's late.
It is definitely late, but we're here to talk to you about all the press conferences. The only one that's left at this point is Konami, but we're not going to have time to record the show tomorrow, so we're going to talk to you about all the others. And here to do that is pretty much everybody. We are doubling up on some mics here. We want to make sure everyone's voice is heard, so please forgive any audio anomalies from this night's show. It's also going to be a tight show, about 20 minutes. Don't want to take too much of your time. There's way too much hot E3 media to check out. So here on the show this week is Brooks Huber.
Good evening, everybody.
Ryan Stevens.
Hello.
Daniel Bloodworth.
Yo.
Mike Damiani.
Hello.
Miguel Lopez.
Hello.
Patrick Morales.
Well met.
We are here and we are ready to do it.
What's your name?
And do it we shall, gentlemen. So let's see. Yesterday, Microsoft's press conference kind of kicked everything off with Skittles.
Yeah.
I was almost convinced that girl was going to get mauled.
Yeah, I'll say that girl was a pretty good actor for her age. Like, I was really impressed with the way she sold it, but
She's better than the video chat people.
Yeah.
Hi. Do you know that's my friend? We will talk on the video phone. I don't know.
Maybe even better than the ESPN guys.
Yeah.
No, those guys were good, I thought, ESPN.
Did all right.
They actually know how to read a teleprompter, unlike most of the people at these press conferences. But I think probably the overarching theme of Microsoft was first 20 minutes to awesome. Last hour, not so much to awesome.
So you want to go Xbox, pause. Xbox, rewind. Chapter 1, play. Loop.
Xbox.
Xbox, kill.
And you got to sit perfectly still on your couch because otherwise the movie's going to start dancing.
But no one can see your sweater.
Yeah. Microsoft fell into the trap that Nintendo's fallen in the last couple of years. They went way too heavy on the casual games for an audience full of hardcore players.
Yeah.
Would you say Sony went way too heavy on montages?
No, they went way too heavy on introducing people to introduce somebody else.
Yeah, we'll get to Sony in a bit. Let's try to stay on Microsoft. I know we're all tired and we're a little ragged.
You want to focus? Okay.
Focus, people. Skittles.
So are you the controller, Shane?
I am the controller.
Okay.
So, Microsoft, I think the Gears of War demo was awesome.
Yes.
I mean, literally
Four-player
second
co-op.
by
Right off the
second, that demo was just badass, I think. I thought the game looked significantly better than Gears of War 2, so they definitely did some work on their engine. Where was Milo? Remember last
He's with
year?
Otis.
Seriously absent. Thank
Child
God.
services. He's in juvie right now, man.
Fable 3 didn't really make much of an impact, I don't think.
It was finished as a trailer, wasn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
there wasn't anything to make an impact.
Like, here's Peter, here's a trailer, later.
So what's everyone think about Halo? Not counting the last 10 seconds.
Campagan.
Wait, not counting the last 10 seconds?
Yeah.
Which was the only relevant thing in the whole...
Yeah, it's like suddenly people started applauding. I look up. I'm like, oh, okay.
You know what I'll say is after seeing Gears of War 3, looking at Halo, I was like, it just doesn't hold up visually. It looked like an old game to me.
Yeah.
Anyone else feel that way?
I felt that way about the beta when I was playing through it. It just same old, but
the early Reach stuff looked really good, I think, compared to Halo 3, and I still think it looks a lot better than Halo 3, but yeah, it still doesn't really go neck and neck visually.
Yeah, it didn't really have a pop for me. I just kind of sat there a little dispassionate. And then they showed the space combat thing, and I was like...
are your expectations high, or are you just...
Yeah, I mean, I loved Halo 3. I played Halo 3 a lot, but like you, the beta, I did not play the beta for Halo Reach all that long. I played it for a couple days, and I was like, okay, I get it.
They only had so few maps, too, anyways. But yeah, visually, it's not
When they released the other modes,
blowing
it got
you
better.
away.
Playing as the elites made it a much more fun experience.
Now, the big story is Kinect, obviously. They unveiled the name at the Cirque du Soleil show, which Sony poked fun at its press conference. What do you guys think of Kinect now that we've really seen it all unveiled? First of all, no core games for Kinect whatsoever.
Oh, Ubi's got one.
Well, there's Forza.
That's not a game.
Did they release
Staring at a car is not a game.
Children again. Believe. Res 2.
That's a hobby.
They actually labeled that Forza 4.
Oh, I know.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Did they price it yet? Is Kinect priced? No.
No.
That's
Okay.
the one thing they didn't do.
Well, GameStop, quote unquote, leaked the price, and they're saying that wasn't correct. And what was it, $139? I
Wow.
think. Is
No,
what
it
they
was
leaked?
140.
140?
149, yeah.
149.
Better than what was
50.
earlier. So
If that is indeed the price, How do you guys feel about that?
Ridiculous.
Too expensive. Yeah.
You think that's too much?
Yeah, it's definitely too much.
Well, Jeremy Hoffman actually made a good comparison when we got back from the show today. He said, okay, well, if you look at Move, and if they announced the pricing for that today, $50 for the wand, and then another $30 for their equivalent to the nunchuck.
Yeah.
So
And an
you're
iToy.
looking,
If you don't have one already.
and if you don't have the iToy, so you're looking at $80 per player for Move. So you double that. That's $160 just to play head-to-head. Now you look at Kinect, you can have 8 people playing at once for that same price.
They're both doing it wrong though.
But they're both too expensive. They're both competing with the Wii, which you can get for $200.
Right.
They should pay you to own it.
Well, what I didn't think was
They
that
like advertise on you, right?
Yeah. Well, if you're the controller,
the thing I noticed right away about Kinect is they literally planned their lineup to match everything that Nintendo puts out.
yeah, but that's what
Yeah.
Sony did kind of with the the big Move push at GDC too.
Yeah.
And then we saw core games for Move today. So I'm wondering if the next time Microsoft shows its face, it's gonna. I only saw a handful of the Kinect games, and there's a couple of things that are kind of interesting, but mainly it's kind of casual and some racing stuff.
Here's my problem with Kinect. When you play it, it's like you're pretending. It's like I couldn't see the TV screen when the little girl was doing the thing with their version of Nintendo Animals or whatever the hell they called it.
Danimals?
So to me, I just saw this little girl standing there like wringing her hands in midair, and it was just creepy.
Yeah.
The guy like walking around looking at the car. If you don't look at the TV screen, it looks so ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like charades. Why haven't they made a charades game for Kinect? It doesn't make perfect sense actually.
I mean, I don't get how. I mean, I get the fitness type games where you're actually using.
Those were actually great.
Where you're using your body.
Ubisoft's
And
fitness game I thought was awesome.
those make sense, but like any kind of game where you're supposed to have like tactile feedback and you're not holding anything, I just don't know how you can get past that. To me, it seems a little too foreign. And
Yeah, like the
I-
racing game where you have your hands held out in midair steering. Like, even if you have that little wheel like you have for Mario Kart Wii, it just feels better than just having your hands sticking out in mid. Like I said, it just seems like you're pretending to do things.
Now, has anyone played this? Has anyone actually got to play the Star Wars thing? Because I'm not convinced that's actually a game.
No one's played it.
Yeah.
That video was pretty awful. It was like literally.
It doesn't look like it's
platoons of
being
stormtroopers
rendered.
walking up to you to get slaughtered. That's what it looked like. I mean,
Well, then
that,
it seems to me like Metal Gear Rising would have been perfect for Kinect. Like, I think that's one game that could have worked with it. They could sell some little sword peripheral with it or pack it in or something like that. Then I think it makes sense. But it looks like that game just controls with a typical controller.
Didn't Kojima make a short mention about Kinect right before he introed that clip?
I don't
For...
remember.
No, he came in after they brought up Kinect, but
Oh,
he didn't
right,
actually
right.
directly reference it.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's a little misleading. But I mean, you mentioned peripherals. I mean, but that's the whole point of Kinect is not to have that type of stuff. So if they have to go back to that, what's the point?
I think that's also why you don't see core games for it, right? I mean, in Sony's press conference today, they made a big joke about, pointing their finger and going, pew, pew, pew. Funny we didn't see any shooters.
Well,
for
I think
Kinect.
right now they may just be like showing this is how it works
Wait,
without
they
anything.
did show one, didn't they? Didn't they show people doing that?
No. I didn't see anyone.
I
Like
didn't
in
see it either.
Adventures or something? Isn't there a game like that?
I didn't see anything.
I
Kinect
think
Adventures.
I think Microsoft may be in phase one where it's like this is what this does. This is what it does differently. And then maybe things will come packed with things that interact with the screen because it's going to be able to recognize shapes. So
Well, that's what they said before, but they didn't show any of that at the press conference. We've
Well,
also
that's
heard
right.
rumors that they've scaled it down, like it doesn't recognize individual fingers anymore. And remember when they showed it before, they'd have to wiggle their hand or whatever. Now it's just they hold their hand out there. So I don't know. I mean, I think it still looks fun. Like some of the games did look like fun to me. Like the river rafting thing. Like I could see people gathering in the living room and goofing around and doing that kind of stuff. Do I want to do it? Probably not.
And how many of those were by Rare?
I think all those mini game collections were made by
I thought
Rare.
I saw a Rare logo in there once at least.
Yeah.
I do worry about lighting because I don't really have that great lighting in my place.
Yeah.
Get a lamp.
Being able to pick up on it. I think
I
Rare,
need more
Rare
power
did
outlets.
the track and field one. I know they did that for sure. I don't know about the other
What was
ones
the
though.
They definitely did the animal one because that was
Yeah,
the Viva
the-
Pinata shade.
Yeah, you can pretty much tell it was from
Viva
Viva
Connectimals.
Pinata.
Connectimals.
So let's go around the horn real quick and give Microsoft's press conference a letter grade. Brooks, you're up.
Oh, I'm gonna go for a B minus.
B minus.
I'm going to second that with a B minus. Trendsetter over there.
It felt good to say it.
Bloodworth.
Yeah, I go with a B. Yeah.
C plus.
I go with a B plus.
I'll go with a C plus as well.
I'm gonna give it a D+.
20 minutes of awesome. Didn't
20 minutes of awesome, and the rest a bunch of stuff.
you
that I'm
graded
not
down a
interested in.
curve?
Look, I could see if I was a casual player who's just getting into gaming, I would probably give it an A+. But for my interest in games and what I like to do, having looked at a lot of the Kinect stuff, that's the grade I give it.
One more question: is anybody gonna get the Slim?
Oh, we didn't even mention the 360
Yeah, the
Slim.
Slim. I just wondered.
What do you guys think of that? How do you think it looks?
I think it looks awesome.
I don't know. I for some reason I do like it, but I'm just not gonna buy one. So
Yeah, I don't
have
need a
360.
replacement.
Well, it
unit
is
anytime
bone
soon.
quiet, and I asked them in an interview after the press conference, once your 360 breaks, if I send it in, do you guys send me the new machine, or do you send me a reconditioned old
good
one?
question.
And they actually said that's a good question. We haven't talked about it yet. So,
Yeah, 'cause
and
what if I-
considering they're shipping out this week, they might want to think about that.
Because then
Yeah.
I'll break my arcade and send it in and get that one.
Intentionally,
Yeah.
right? Get those 250 gigs, right?
Wow.
Pretty sure there are no short supply of 360 that need refurbished.
Yeah. I think the form factor is nice. It's a little funky how it kind of comes down and then just kind of squats out.
Yeah.
But it's much smaller. It's definitely much quieter, which I think will be a big boon for a lot of people. Maybe people will actually watch movies on it now if they have a PS3. Like, I watch movies on my PS3 because it's quiet.
Did you guys notice that the controller is a little different too?
I didn't, actually.
I played Lords of Shadow on the floor with the new black controller, and it's matte on the face and then like a different material on the bottom.
So basically they made a control. It's not a different form factor.
yeah, the form factor is exactly the same, but kind of like the
it matches the
materials.
console now.
Yeah.
It's like the piano black or whatever.
Can you lay it on its side?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
All right. So now I can listen to Justin Bieber, or I can see what else is on this playlist.
Nintendo first thing this morning, way too early. I have to say.
What is up with that?
I don't know. I mean, for some reason, they feel like having press conferences on the same day the show kicks off. Why can't Microsoft do it on Sunday night? Nintendo and Sony do it on Monday. Show kicks off Tuesday. That seems to make too much sense to me. But anyway, the press conference
I give
itself.
that idea. I give an A.
Grades are back.
I'm gonna give that a W.
Now, let's be honest here. We have bagged Nintendo hardcore for 2 years straight. In fact, I don't think we've had a good thing to say about Nintendo's press conference in 3 years.
Metroid Other M last year.
Right.
Was kind of cool.
Yeah. Can you think of
As a
anything
trailer.
else?
Nope.
And last year was a little better than the year before, but in my opinion, this year they knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for Miyamoto and his little not working Wiimote, but
Yeah, maybe it hit the foul pole and went fair.
but
Considering the Zelda demo.
but whatever. All the little just the Miyamoto appearing on the stage being it's stupid funny, but I still appreciate
And you
it.
knew it was coming. It happens
Yeah.
every year.
But still, it's great.
But I did feel really bad for him. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? That shit happens to me all the time with the Wii. It's good
Yeah.
to know that it's not just me that has that problem. It's like, all right, now you guys had a chance to set this up for a couple days, rehearse it, and your thing went on the blink. I'm like, there's been points where I was about ready to send my Wii in and say, okay, this thing is broken, it's defective. Now I know it's not because it happens to them too.
Interference is what he was saying.
Doppler
Well,
effect.
it's sad because later on, like, all these kiosks rose up from the floor for people to play Zelda, and no one had any problems with it. So there was something funky going on, but that's
Yeah.
the Wii. Sometimes it just does that for some reason.
Right.
But we've complained for the last 2 years. No games for us. They'd give us one token game every press conference, but this one was just loaded with games for us.
Yeah.
It's I was saying earlier. It's just we were discussing it. It's just basically they went back and read all the feedback from their last 3 press conferences.
No Cammy.
And no Cammy. And they were like, "What if we actually listened to that and put on this type of conference that they wanted?" And that's what it felt like to me.
Yep.
I was just game after game after game that I cared about.
Right.
And bare minimum.
We
of
play
the
was like
casual
their
stuff.
one exception.
But
And
it's like-
it still looks like it might be fun.
That-
It's like Mario Party.
And even the Nintendogs part, whatever,
We-
there's just so much there that I cared about. I was just in shock.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
How about Kirby, man? That game looks freaking stunning.
So pretty.
It
It's
reminded me of
amazing.
Yoshi's Story back in the day when they would like switch up the art style or something. But wow.
Well, some
much
people were
better.
saying, "Oh, that was fake. It looked too good." Well, no, I went to the to the booth, and that's exactly what that game looks like.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
good Wii-looking games. There's a lot of good-looking Wii games this year. The third party too. I thought
Except Zelda.
Sonic Colors.
I think Zelda looks like ass.
Oh no.
Are you talking aesthetically
I thought it
or
looked
like?
Aesthetically.
Okay,
I
because,
hate the art stuff.
Okay, yeah. Tech-wise though, I think it's pretty up
Yeah,
there.
it-
Epic Mickey
it's
looked
too
really
colorful.
good.
Yeah.
Wii game Sonic Colors looks good, and those are
Yeah.
both third party.
I think Epic Mickey is the best looking Wii game ever.
Whoa.
I would not go that far.
Why? I saw it.
I think Metroid Prime 3 looks better than that
Mario
game.
no,
Galaxy
I saw
2.
it in action. That game was amazing.
I saw it at Judges Week. Remember, I couldn't talk about it before.
yeah,
Oh my
now
God.
You can talk about it.
I was in the press bridge with Rich doing the direct feed for Nintendo, and I went to the backstage to pee, and I peed next to Warren Spector.
Did he check you
He was
out?
wearing a freaking sweater vest. It's like, whoa. It's
That's what he
him.
does.
It's what he does.
Yeah, and Donkey Kong,
Yes.
maybe a little derivative. I mean, it looked...
I don't like Donkey
I
Kong
was
Country.
a little disappointed that
Really?
that's what Retro's been working on.
I mean, you think about the talent that's there. Was Donkey Kong a good use of their time, really?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Yeah?
I thought it looked awesome.
I mean, it looks
2D
like it's fun,
side-scroller?
but I
It
mean,
looks
like-
good. I mean,
yeah.
technically it looks good.
I was
but
impressed
it's
by
like,
it.
it's Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah, when I heard the rumors about it, I thought it was going to be definitely not what I envisioned for that. I thought it was going to be some kind of new 3D type of Donkey Kong that kind of changed it like Prime changed Metroid, but yeah,
Well, think about Jungle Beat. At least it had, like, the
Yeah.
congas that you played with. It had, like, a twist on it. I mean, this is just, it's a little bit like New Super Mario Brothers Wii.
yeah, the hook is that you can go back and forth between different layers. So you can go into like the background, move around, and come back into the foreground. You get to solve puzzles. Like one of them was like blowing up like a boulder in the background by using some kind of explosive. in the
But that's not
foreground.
like, I don't know. That's,
it's
that's
got
a really
something-
old mechanic. I mean, the Wario 3D, the Virtual Boy Wario game
that.
had that.
It seemed
that
a little bit like
Sega Saturn game had that Guardian
Guardian Heroes.
Guardian Heroes.
The Paper Mario that came out on Wii. It kind of seemed a little bit like the jumping between like that.
Let's talk about the 3DS. That's supposed to be their biggest announcement from the press conference.
How does it look? I haven't had. No one's really had a chance to see what the screen
It looks
looks
awesome.
like.
When you're looking at it correctly.
Yeah,
When
if you
you're
look at it
not-
from the side, it gets a little funky, but I'm telling you, like, the 3D it's as good as using a 3D TV and glasses. No doubt about it. At first I was watching some of the games and I was like, oh, it's the kind of 3D that only makes it look like the screen goes into the machine. But then, no, it's not. Like, eventually there were things shooting out of the screen and hovering above the screen.
But will it work with my Cyclops eye?
Oh,
I
no,
don't know.
sorry. Ryan.
I'm out of a job.
Yeah, we were having that debate because no one, some people who should remain nameless in this room,
Patrick Morales.
did not believe that it was just looking in and came out because I got to see the Ocarina of Time 3D video, and the part where Epona jumps over something, it jumps out, it
Out of
comes
the
out of
screen.
the screen, and it looks like she's riding on top of
That's
your
really
screen.
cool.
Is this
It's
like,
like
your wildest
witchcraft.
dream?
And yeah, it was.
Well, how does,
It
how
is
d-
pretty amazing.
How does the analog nub thing feel?
Nothing was playable though. It was
Yeah.
all
I still
strictly
fiddled around
videos.
with it though. It feels pretty good, man. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like the PSP nub. I'll say
That's
that
good.
much. That's exactly why I checked it. I'm like, this thing better not slide around like
Well, let's
that.
take a moment to just appreciate that it's on top of the D-pad,
Right.
which
Yeah.
is awesome because that's where PSP failed a little bit. Because
Yeah. And I interviewed Cammy. She said that color is not like what it's going to ship with. That's just like their preliminary
Right.
color that
Yeah,
they're showing.
color's a little extra fancy there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what other
Cat
features?
fancy.
I mean, it lets you take 3D photos, which I thought was actually kind of a neat thing.
It
'cause
is
it's-
cool, yeah. But
mean-
then how do you view them? Except only on the
Are they
3DS.
Are they bringing back the printer? You remember
The Game Boy
Oh,
printer.
yeah.
Yeah. I actually still have one of those
The
laying
3D
around
printer?
somewhere.
Oh my god.
You have to like print it in a lithograph or
And
something.
the top screen's widescreen, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And the
And
graphics,
bigger than the bottom screen.
Graphics look what? Dreamcast quality, you'd say?
Yeah, I would say somewhere between the Dreamcast and the GameCube. Not quite up to GameCube quality, but not as bad as the
Because they've got
Dreamcast.
those Metal Gear Solid 3 screenshots out there.
Yeah.
To me,
I was pretty impressed with
It
it.
looked like something running on PSP, honestly.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
And with
That's
the
probably best way
slider,
to
the
describe it.
slider
I
on the
thought-
side of
well,
the hardware,
what-
you could slide it up and down, right, for 3D and not
Th-
3D.
That's
Right.
well, yeah, you
And
can
it
turn
works.
it off, but it's also to adjust like how close or far you're holding it from your eyes. You can adjust it so you can like hold it far away and still get the 3D effect, or bring
Oh,
it
okay.
closer, as well as reducing the effect. So it's like two purposes.
Can we read 100 classic books in
3D
3D?
without losing your eyesight. And then it has like the 24/7 bark mode, the mode for Nintendogs where you could walk by somebody else with it and it would exchange information. Now it does it 24/7.
It has motion sensing too, right?
It does, yeah.
Yeah,
You think Dragon Quest IX will catch on in the States?
and then it has.
I don't know. Someone in the treehouse played it for 150 hours
Oh
already.
yeah, And then the home button, which they didn't really explain what it did. They just pointed it out.
I'm
so-
sure it'll probably take you to that home screen that the DSi already has.
Yeah.
At least I'm guessing that's what it is. Overall, though, I was really, really impressed with the 3DS. I mean, the battery life maybe is a concern. You know, what are they doing underneath the hood to make the 3D work?
Did
I
they say what kind of
Price might be a concern.
I heard something about the battery life. They didn't give a hard number, but they're shooting for the same as DSi's battery life.
That's great.
So
And it is backwards compatible with DSi and DS Lite, so that library is still relevant.
did they say what kind of media they're going to
it
use?
looks
for it?
identical to DS
Cards.
Cards.
Yeah.
They look the
Okay.
same size.
Cool.
so.
Snaky around a car.
And flash memory is so cheap now. I mean, they could conceivably make a huge game for it. So, Nintendo, I think, my opinion, had a great press conference. But let's hear from you guys, Brooks, Huber.
Are we gonna grade it now?
Yes, of course.
I'm gonna give it a solid A. I feel
All
good
right.
with that. Yeah.
Well, subjectively or objectively?
Whichever you want.
Are there any other adjectives? I
Your
can use?
life, not mine.
Well, fuck 3D, B minus.
Oh, because you can't see it.
Yeah. Subjective.
Bloodworth.
Yeah, I'll go with an A minus. I mean, I was pretty impressed that like pretty much everything they showed was like a game debut,
Yeah.
even though a lot of them are sequels.
Yep. Which.
Did
that's
you actually
pretty
get
much
to
the
use the
industry.
Zelda sword mechanic?
For the Wii?
Yeah.
Yes.
Does it work?
Yeah, it's one-to-one
Okay.
controls. Yeah.
Sweet.
It works great. Damiani.
A.
Flat A.
I think I'd abstain since most of what I know about this like third-hand information, I was commuting to work when it was going on. So
Okay. It wasn't on the radio.
I didn't read it off the license
3D
plates of
radio
the
is
car.
coming.
Patrick Morales.
From the selects that I've seen, B plus definitely. 3D. I'm more excited for the 3DS than Wii stuff. So
Wow, interesting. I'll give it an A+. I mean, other than the snafus with the Wii tech, I can't really see any way that Nintendo could have done a better press conference. I mean, they made a point to let us all get a chance to play the 3DS. In fact, they wouldn't let you leave the press conference until you had a chance to play it. Press conference ends, up pops a bunch of kiosks to play Zelda.
Nice.
It was a freaking awesome press conference, man. They nailed it. And after me and everyone else bagging on them for 2 years, they deserve it. A+ from me.
And all those women that were holding DSs.
Not too shabby.
No.
Ooh, don't forget the skit at the end either.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
100% of awesome. It wasn't that great until the end when Reggie gets.
The laugh. It was the laugh.
All right, now let's talk about Sony, the last of the big three. Press conference pretty much finished up around 2 o'clock this afternoon. Another really long Sony press conference.
Yep.
PS2 is still riding strong.
Yeah. I think it was maybe a little too long this year.
Yep. What's the game they have with the move, the punching game? The
Something fight.
Yeah.
There's this one shot where they like push the guy's days and like push him down.
They showed it 4 times.
Yes, it's in every one of the freaking montages. Just stop.
my
And guess
big-
what? Mod Nation Racers, it's been released.
My
Let's
other
go.
problem was that they would show all these games and go really in depth with them, and then they put the games in the montage at the end as well. Like, they could have definitely cut down on the montages.
Well, I don't have a problem with the games. It's just like, okay, now we're going to tell you things that we tell you every year, and now we're going to bring this guy out so he can bring somebody else out. And it's just like,
And then they talked
way,
about the
way
PS2.
too much talking.
Best
Didn't
part
they?
of that press conference, Kevin Butler.
Oh yeah.
That stand-up was brilliant. Literally, you could tell whoever wrote that gets gaming. Like, that stand-up routine got the whole crowd, like, empowered. We're freaking gamers, and it was awesome. Funny, too.
Yeah.
Legitimately funny. And just hit all the right notes. That was my favorite. Sadly, that was my favorite part of the press conference. But they did show some great games. Killzone 3 looked great in 3D. A lot of these 3D
Fuck
games...
3D.
A lot of these 3D games like Crysis just flat out doesn't work. Crysis 2. And you know, I saw it at Judges Week, and I was like, that's weird. It doesn't really work for me. All that was pretty much in 3D for me was the HUD. And then walking out of EA's press conference, everyone was like, did Crysis work for you? And everyone was like, no, it didn't. So Killzone is freaking awesome. The thing I really loved is how they worked damage into the 3D. So as you're getting shot, like these blood splatters in 3D, almost into like a tunnel into the game, like it alerts you to how close you are to death. Like all the perspective, the stuff coming off the screen, I thought that was the best 3D I've seen at the show.
What I thought was interesting was, I mean, we were here watching the stream, and even in a 2D plane or whatever, like you could still tell that things were designed for that 3D effect, and they still kind of gave off a bit of that.
Yeah, I thought that game looked great. What happened to The Last Guardian? Where was it?
Crickets.
Yeah, we don't know.
TGS.
I mentioned it to a Sony rep who had come to our stage to do a live stage demo, and I was like, "What happened to The Last Guardian?" And she was like, "What is that?"
Wrong answer.
Well, what happened to Cole McGrath?
Yeah.
I still can't get over that guy's redesign.
What do you guys think about Twisted Metal?
It's not Demon Souls 2.
That's for sure.
I thought it was
The
Mag
aesthetic's
on
always
Wheels.
been a bit too dark for me. I'm sure I love to play it, but it's just kind of like, I don't know.
You know,
Is the
It hasn't
genre
appealed to
irrelevant?
me.
You got a juggalo.
Drink some Fago.
Is the genre still relevant at this point?
Oh yeah, I mean we just
Car
Wasn't that what
combat?
the opening
we
like
just had
FMV
Blur
was
and
about?
Split Second and Mod Nation. I mean,
But
it's-
those are racing games. There's
Right.
combat built into the racing. This is literally just about blowing each other up. And I mean, there are extra modes in those games of
Yeah.
this. This is a whole game built around. I mean, there's a reason there hasn't been a car combat game since what, Vigilante 8?
No, Twisted Metal.
I guess
Black?
the Transformers games are pretty much like that. They're essentially vehicular combat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
what
a good
the
point.
new one is.
Yeah. And I mean, the multiplayer in those is fine. I could see a super high budget version of that's been in development for a long time. Whatever. I could see that being kind of cool. But yeah, I'm kind of with Bloodworth. The aesthetic I think is like really corny.
yeah.
But as long as it's there mechanically, like I'm down to play it.
I think for me, probably the highlight of the show is probably Portal 2.
Yeah.
That surprise announcement.
Yes,
Because
please.
like that's the last place you expected Gabe to come out.
Yeah, after all the smack he talked about the PlayStation 3 and Sony.
It's
yeah.
funny how you even addressed it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said Kevin Butler was, sharpening a knife backstage or something?
VP
like
of sharpening
VP
things.
of sharpening things, yeah. And so let's talk about some other positives. The one thing I thought they did well was they sprinkled the motion control, more casual stuff in with the core games. It wasn't
Yeah.
like Microsoft where they loaded the front with stuff we like, and then the last half was stuff we weren't that interested
This is
in.
why I love nerds, my people, is when he shook the potion in sorcery
Yeah.
and drank it, and everyone's like, he drank the potion! Yeah!
Yeah, I didn't quite get
And
that.
then like my camera guy looks back and he's like, what's going on?
I think there might have been some plants in that press conference. Not as many as there were at the Ubisoft press conference, mind you, but I think there were some people who may have been paid to get sort of hyped on some stuff. Like the sorcery, I didn't really get at all. I was like, how many times did they show that slam attack during the press conference? 4 times, maybe? Where he like slams it down and it does the big wave or whatever. I think they showed that 3 or 4 times at least. But I really thought that they, despite how long the press conference was, I thought that they did a good job of mixing it up. So we'd have something that we were really into. The more casual folks from USA Today would have something that they were into, and it kept people engaged throughout. And I think they showed a strong software lineup. I mean, there's a lot of really great games coming to the PS3. Last Guardian missing kind of stinks. I mean, especially after we gave it our second most anticipated game of E3.
Gran Turismo got a release date
That game looks good.
again.
I mean, I'm not
November
a huge
2nd.
I'm not a huge racing sim guy, but that game looks good, man. Like,
Oh, yeah.
That you look at it, sometimes it looks photorealistic.
But can you look at the car in 3D?
There were actually a couple of shots where I'm like, are they showing the TV channel part now?
Right.
And then it's like, oh no, that's the game.
What other games made an impression with you guys?
Oh wow.
Patapon 3.
It wasn't.
It was
there,
in a
mind.
montage.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't even
Yeah,
remember
it was.
seeing it.
I like how they split up Dead Space too. And they
Between the
showed-
two press
Yeah, but they showed
conferences?
the first half in Microsoft's, and they're like,
Or
see how it
EA's.
concludes. Oh yeah, in EA, sorry, and then they showed the rest. So
Yeah, little cliffhanger or whatever.
it's kind of cool. I'm looking forward to Dead Space too, but that's
But,
not an
So
exclusive.
the final topic is Move, obviously.
I like to move it.
Yeah, that's right.
I like to move it.
What do you guys think? I mean, one thing I'll say is that they showed a lot more core games for Move than Microsoft showed for Kinect.
Definitely.
I mean, they have some legitimate games coming down the pipe that we're going to be interested in playing, that we're going to be able to play with Move.
I just don't get how they show games that utilize 2 wands when, yeah, you only buy one for $50, so you're gonna have to spend
Well, you're gonna have
$100.
to
You have to
Two.
buy 2 for $100.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. Just
Yeah, I
to,
think the
just to make a
pricing-
gun, or
Maybe you
to
can just
make
buy the
a
ball.
bow and arrow, but
How about the groans when they announced the price of their nunchuck?
Yeah.
Oh, the whole audience was like, oh. Because they're like, for $50. Everyone's like, yeah!
What I thought was more interesting is their kind of casual games are going to be cheaper. Didn't they say like 35 to like 45?
Right, $39.99, yeah.
Yeah.
Which
That's
I think
cool.
is a good idea, yeah.
as opposed to $60.
Well, it keeps them from being discounted like they are at Best Buy for all those Wii shovelware games anyway. It's like, we'll just stave off the inevitable.
Heroes on the Move. It's kind of weird even trying to figure out what that is just from the quick shots.
Yeah, is it an action-adventure game or a party game?
It looks like an action-adventure game.
That's what I thought, too.
So...
How are they going to merge those universes?
Thrown together.
Konami did it in Japan back in the day. They had a crazy game where they took all their Konami mascots and put them all together.
Well, I mean, so they've done it in fighting
Sounds
games,
awesome.
obviously. Like Urgeist was Square's game where they sort of put everybody into one. But in an action-adventure game, I don't know. I mean, they didn't really talk about it, so I don't know how
I was
to
a little
even judge
surprised
it.
to see Sly Cooper's getting the remastering, because Nintendo always had kind of mediocre sales.
Yeah. I mean, 3D was a big push for Sony in general. I mean, they have a lot of incentive to push it with their TVs. So I think their 3D line just came out or whatever. So,
Yeah.
And, I was doing an interview afterwards. I was like, what's the penetration going to be like? And, he's basically saying we're planting the seed now. So when people do get their 3D TVs, they know that their system's going to work well with it. And they're hoping that people will buy the PS3 so that when they eventually get their 3D TVs, they'll be ready to rock.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously a big corporate Sony push. I mean, they kind of have to do that.
Yeah. Charging for PSN?
Oh, that's...
So that did get announced.
Well, they're not taking away anything that we've been getting for free, but you can pay
It's
now.
just a velvet rope. I
Yeah.
mean, it's... Yeah, this is no big deal.
I don't think it's a big
Early
deal.
access to betas, early access to demos.
Yeah.
And full games you can play as well.
Yeah,
Other
you
people won't
get
be
some
able to play.
rewards and perk system for doing it. Avatar stuff, maybe, but
Yeah, it's pretty much just an alternative revenue stream for those who want to do it.
Yeah,
so.
I just felt like it was something that they kind of had as a good advantage, and now it's like, oh, we're just going to be like the other guy, I bet.
yeah.
What did they say about PSP? I actually did not catch a lot of the press conference. Did they do anything with it?
They talked about-
I mean,
Not really.
Is it
God of
still on
War?
life support?
They
And-
actually showed off quite a few games in the montage. I was surprised. But
Yeah, I asked him actually again in the interview afterwards, and I was like, so what's up with the PSP? We see hardware sales, but no software sales. And he just straight up said it's piracy. He said piracy's killing him. So, and let's talk briefly, very briefly, because we're running out of time here, guys, about the other press conferences. Ubisoft? Come on, we got to talk about Ubisoft.
Battle Tag.
I thought I had been transported to Toy and Hobby Fair for a second. I'm like, this is E3, bro. This isn't like
I
the Toy
kept
Fair.
waiting for the twist, and it never
There wasn't one. How about the breathing game?
Yeah, let's steal the Vitality
That took like
Center.
15 minutes.
How about all the uncomfortable moments in the Ubisoft press conference in general?
Let's talk to Sean White
Yeah,
forever.
that conversation was wow.
The whole thing was wow.
Joel
The
McHale was
boxes.
kind of okay.
Like-
He
Michael
wasn't
Jackson.
anywhere. Joel McHale was nowhere near as good as he was last year.
No,
and you
he-
could tell he just didn't give a shit. And after
Yeah.
a while, some of the stuff was so preposterous. I don't blame him one bit.
He was almost on Jamie Kennedy level, just like not giving a shit. And just throwing out these remarks.
Well, except instead of having Tony Hawk, he had Sean White.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bad career move, the host of Ubisoft press
Anyway, we'll
conference.
bang on the rest of these press conferences next week. We did want to get this out to you guys. It is late. We are a little giddy and a little delirious at this point.
A
But
fat kid playing with cake.
yeah,
Good
exactly.
luck with your dyed hair.
Yeah, that's right.
Pinky.
Yeah, the guy did not appreciate that joke at all. Because, he thought he was all pimping. He's like, "Oh my, I got my hair dyed just for
Coming
E3.
out here in my Burning Man clothes.
I saw that fool this week.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got to wrap it up, folks. One thing I do want to say is thank you so much for coming to Game Trailers this week. We have set records, daily traffic records, pretty much every day this week. I hope you guys were cool with our streams. Our streams did huge numbers, massive numbers, in fact, far beyond anyone's expectations here. We really appreciate you guys supporting the site. We love you guys. Hope you're enjoying E3. I know we are. We'll be glad when we can get some sleep. But we will see you all next week. Invisible Walls from E3 is up and out.